Well, if you're a home buyer stuck in the queue waiting to get possession of your delayed flat and continue to pay EMIs through your nose as well, good news may be around the corner finally. The Supreme Court's harsh words on an appropriate authority investigating a potential builder bank Nexus is just what may solve this big mess that finds thousands of home buyers engulfed in. The Supreme Court yesterday ordered the CBI to submit a roadmap on how it plans to unravel what it calls the builder bank's Nexus, which has duped thousands of home buyers in the National Capital Region. A bench of Justices Suryakant and N. Koteswar Singh said thousands of home buyers were affected by the subvention scheme, where banks pay 60 to 70% of the home loan amount to the builders without projects being completed within the stipulated time. Under the subvention scheme, banks disperse the sanctioned amount directly to the accounts of the builders, who are then required to pay EMIs on the sanctioned loan amount until flats are handed over to home buyers. After builders started defaulting on EMIs to banks as per the tripartite agreement, the banks sought EMIs from home buyers. This is what the Supreme Court said. It said, "We hope that there is no mafia involved." That's what the Supreme Court bench said. The court has directed CBI Counsel Additional Solicitor General Aishwarya Bhati to submit a proposal outlining the investigation and resources, manpower, including financial experts if required. The bench also appointed Advocate Rajiv Jain as amicus curiae in the matter, saying he was a former Intelligence Bureau officer and possessed the knowledge in dealing with such kinds of economic offences. But that's not all that the Supreme Court said. And I quote, it said, "We don't want any reluctance on part of the CBI. We want to go to the depth of it, to the ultimate extent. They will have a free hand," unquote. The top court was hearing a batch of petitions filed by several home buyers who booked flats under the subvention plans in various housing projects in NCR region, especially in Noida, Greater Noida and Gurugram, alleging that they were being forced by banks to pay EMIs despite no possession of flats. Now, Bhati offered to start with Greater Noida area of Uttar Pradesh in the NCR region, where most housing projects have mushroomed, given the enormous size of the investigation. The bench agreed with Bhati and said CBI could start with Greater Noida as the pilot project. There's more that the Supreme Court said, and I quote, it said, "Something effective has to be done in a time-bound manner as a large section of people are affected." Senior Advocate Abhishek Singhvi, appearing for a financial institution, said it had completed and complied with the directions of the top court relating to the details of home loan extended, among others. This is what Abhishek Singhvi said. He said, "I understand there are good apples as well as bad apples. My problem is that I was in the same basket," unquote. The bench, however, said it won't give a certificate to the bank that it was not involved, but if nothing wrong has been done, then it does not need to fear. There's more to what the Supreme Court said, and I quote, it said, "We are only concerned with the kind of hobnobbing they have been doing with the builders and developers. We want to get to the depth of this nexus. Thousands of people are crying due to this. Your fault is that despite knowing there is little progress made in the project, you had disbursed 60 to 70% of the loan amount," unquote. Now, Justices Suryakant referred to the number of cases relating to the real estate sector pending in the Supreme Court. Singhvi, however, said before the court asks the CBI to investigate the issue, the court should hear the Reserve Bank of India. But the bench said the Reserve Bank of India did not have the required expertise in dealing with these issues, and therefore it had roped in Premier Investigating Agency. The bench told Bhati to submit a proposal in 2 weeks and asked the amicus to submit a brief note about the matter. Remember, on March 4, the top court sought the presence of counsel for the CPI to apprise it about the investigation which needs to be conducted. It said the CBI standing counsel had to be present for the purpose of constituting a special investigation team. There's more to what the Supreme Court said, and I quote, "He may also have instructions as to why the CBI should not be asked to register a case and then proceed to investigate the nexus between the banks and the builders. Alternatively, the constitution of an SIT on its own will also be considered by this court," unquote. On November 5th last year, the top court sought details from home buyers, builders cum developers and banks and financial institutions about the payment of installments of loans, total disbursal of loans, status of housing projects and other details. The bench said despite its repeated instructions of roughly 40 builders cum developers and roughly 30 banks or financial institutions, only 9 institutions and 5 builder cum developers filed their compliance affidavits. The Supreme Court said, and I quote, "This blanket disregard and ignorance of the court's directions, coupled with their reluctance in appropriately assisting the court, hints towards a possible collusion between the builders cum developers and banks, financial institutions," unquote.